essential to evaluate and analyze how the university performs and where it stands on the 5 parameters prescribed by the Ministry of Human Resource Development. The first parameter is teaching, learning, and resources. Manipur University, as a central university, could attract students from outside the state and outside the country. The number is negligible as compared to our neighboring Mizoram University. Next, the expected faculty-student ratio is 1:10, which means 1 faculty for every 10 students. But for most of the departments in Manipur University, there is shortages of faculties, which affects the learning outcomes. Moving on to the annual expenditures on financial resources, there is less expense on library, which is just 58 lakhs compared to 1 crore and 80 lakhs for Mizoram University and 4 crores and 36 lakhs for Northeastern Hill University. And thus, it becomes difficult for researchers and students to find quality books and journals in Manipur University Library. Next, the expense on new equipments for laboratories for Mizoram University is 4 crores approximately, which is just 27 lakhs for Manipur University. And thus, due to lack of equipment, there is delay in research work and poor quality. Next, the expense on seminars and conferences and workshops is just 12 lakhs compared to 1 crore and 30 lakhs for Mizoram University. And thus, seminars, workshops, and conferences are not organized regularly, which affects the university ranking. Now moving on to the second parameter, which is research and professional practice. Number of publications and quality of publications needs to be enhanced. For this, topics for research must be selected which will be able to solve real-life problems. The quality of our research depends on the total citation count. Research scholars in Manipur University failed in this aspect. There is lack of innovations, inventions, and discoveries. Coming to the third parameter, which is graduation outcomes. Graduating students took up what kind of jobs? Are they employed or are they unemployed? If they are employed, what is their salary? Are they recruited through campus placement? And how many PhD students graduated over the past 3 years on average? And how many PhD students were admitted to top universities? The primary data required to determine graduation outcomes are not collected by the concerned authorities, which is more or less a consequence of the system failure. One reason why Manipur University fares poorly in the NIRF ranking. Coming to the fourth parameter, which is outreach and inclusivity. How many students are admitted from outside the state and outside the country? From outside the state, there are just 103 students for all the programs and just 9 students from foreign countries, which is very low compared to the top 100 universities. Manipur University, with its strategic location bordering Southeast Asia, needs to maintain its reputation by attracting foreign students or faculty. This outreach is lacking, another consequence of the system failure. Women's participation in higher education is another important criteria. And to score good, there needs to be at least 50% female students, 20% female faculty, and at least 2 women in the senior administrative position, for which the data remains missing. And to promote inclusiveness, infrastructure for physically handicapped people needs to be put in place. Lift or ramp remains missing in almost every building. No provision for walking aids, wheelchairs, and toilets specially designed for handicapped people. These basic needs for them is missing, making their lives all the more difficult. Moving on to the fifth parameter, which is peer perception. How a university is being perceived by various stakeholders like employers, research investors, and public, etc. is important. For this, a university needs to maintain their reputation. For example, like Jawaharlal Nehru University. Every graduate from Jawaharlal Nehru University is looked at with respect, which is not so with Manipur University. Thus, we need to make a buzz. Thus, by highlighting all these system failures, and by correcting them, we are optimistic that in the future, we will be included in the top 100 NIRF ranking. And with this, I would like to conclude with Swami Vivekananda's quote, which says, "Arise, awake, and stop not till the golden streets." Thank you.